right, Ariel, we're starting right now. Does anyone else get chills when Halle Bailey belts it out in these trailers? I mean, that girl can sing. And if you've been hiding under a rock, you may not know that Disney's live action The Little Mermaid is almost here. And if you were a child of the 80s and 90s, or just someone who was super into musicals, then you're definitely going to want to catch this one in theaters. Here's everything you need to know about the live action The Little Mermaid. Okay, so here's what we're going to break down. Let's dive in.
Something about you seems different. I can't quite figure it out.
She got legs, you idiot.
So you may not have known, but Disney is not the originator of The Little Mermaid.
Is that even possible?
In fact, this story comes all the way from Denmark in 1837, from master fairy tale writer Hans Christian Andersen, who wrote about an unnamed mermaid who desperately wants an eternal soul. And this OG version is actually much darker than what we grew up watching. Like, when she walks on her new legs, she actually feels stabby knife pains, and the prince marries someone else, and so she dies and then becomes sea foam. You know, real kid-friendly stuff. But honestly, you really gotta read it for yourself because it doesn't end there, and the message is actually quite beautiful. Something the 1989 version definitely lacked. But good news, we hear that the live-action remake has actually focused on a more profound message as well. Just kind of hoping that it's not going to be as dark as Andersen's, but enough of dark Danish folklore. Let's move on to some lighter thingamabobs.
Under the sea, under the sea.
So Disney's first foray into The Little Mermaid actually started with the release of the animated version in 1989, and it became a critical and commercial hit that kick-started the Disney Renaissance. All this to say, this was that magical time period in the 90s when they released hit after hit, and we have Ariel and company to thank for starting it all. The animated film was so successful that it had two follow-up films, 2000's The Little Mermaid 2: Return to the Sea, and The Little Mermaid: Ariel's Beginning in 2008, but both were kind of meh and went direct to video. So we'll brush over those for time's sake.
The solution to your problem is simple.
As we've seen in recent years, Disney's been revamping those Renaissance films as live-action remakes, and it wasn't until 2016 that they announced it was The Little Mermaid's turn. And from the looks of it, the CGI probably took a while, but the wait is over now, and we have high hopes. So, what can we expect in terms of similarities and differences between both versions?
Yeah, I got an aesthetically pleasing configuration of hair.
It sounds like the core plot will be the same, but we know director Rob Marshall's reimagining will have some important modern-day updates. And for those of you who don't know, Rob Marshall has directed some of your favorites, like Chicago, Mary Poppins Returns, Into the Woods, Pirates of the Caribbean, On Stranger Tides, and Memoirs of a Geisha. What a resi.
The kiss of true love.
Let's get back to those modern updates. Star Halle Bailey said that it's actually Ariel's desires that have changed from the original. She said, quote, "I'm really excited for my version of the film because we've definitely changed that perspective of just her wanting to leave the ocean for a boy." And she mentioned that it's more about Ariel finding freedom for herself because of the world that she's obsessed with, and that Prince Eric is the cherry on top, but it's not going to be all about him. And I'm just going to throw this out there. Prince Eric is not a bad cherry to have on top. I mean, another difference is that Rob Marshall gave Eric more personality because, as we all know, he kind of was the weakest character in the original. He also mentioned that Eric will have a similar trajectory as Ariel, as they both feel like they don't fit in their respective worlds and work together to break down the barriers that surround their lives. Oh my God, if Eric becomes a mermaid, I will die. Whatever happens, it kind of seems like we're gonna get a more modern and sophisticated version of this beloved tale, and we can get behind that. Also, expect to see slight changes made to two of the original songs. Sebastian the Crab's Kiss the Girl and Ursula's main villainous number, Poor Unfortunate Souls. God, I love that song. Now, Kiss the Girl will understandably be updated to add themes of consent, but it's actually Poor Unfortunate Souls' supposed changes that are bothering fans. So the lines that will be updated are,
"The men up there don't like a lot of blabber.
They think a girl who gossips is a bore. Yes, on land it's much preferred for ladies not to say a word,
And
it's she who holds her tongue who gets a man.
so the reason fans are criticizing changes to Ursula's song is because they're saying she's a villain, and villains say mean and manipulative things to get what they want. And Ursula wants Ariel's voice, so it kind of makes sense that she would say those things, right? Either way, it's nice to know that we're moving away from the old school boy-obsessed themes of the old and bringing in a more well-rounded approach to the women in this new film. And now that we're talking music, another similarity between both films is that Alan Menken has returned as composer for the live-action remake.
The Little Mermaid. It was the first film I ever scored. It's especially emotional coming back.
Wait, so The Little Mermaid was his first? And he won the Oscar for Best Original Score? And he was also nominated twice alongside Howard Ashman for Best Original Song for both Kiss the Girl and Under the Sea, and won the Oscar for the latter. If you guys don't know who Alan Menken is, this man basically created the soundtrack to our childhood. We may or may not need to freeze his brain. This man also went on to score other Disney Renaissance favorites like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and Pocahontas, which just kept the Oscars rolling in. I mean, the man is a beast. Question now is, will he start racking up more awards with the revamped score in this remake? We're gonna have to wait and see, but his chances are high, because joining the genius is another beloved musical genius, Lin-Manuel Miranda. That's right, Alan and Lin have joined forces for the good of all our ears, and here's a bit of a sneak peek behind the curtain on their experience.
And with Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is so brilliant, the songs we've written expand what Little Mermaid is.
I feel really proud to work on The Little Mermaid because these characters live in my heart.
They live in our hearts too, Lin, and it really was the music all those years ago that solidified this story and these characters in our hearts. Okay, so speaking of characters, who's playing who?
I really didn't expect to find her here.
The king can never hear this.
Ow!
You got it?
Got it. Sorry, what'd you say again?
I'm a dead crab.
Let's start with the main character, Ariel, played by Halle Bailey. So she's best known for being one half of the musical duo Chloe and Halle, with, you guessed it, her sister Chloe Bailey. And here's a clip from our interview where she tells us what it was like getting the part.
It's really a dream come true. Rob Marshall is the best. When he called me, I didn't believe it. He was like, Ariel? This is how he told me, because when I answered the phone, he goes, is this Ariel? Am I speaking to Ariel? And I'm like, what? So it's
What's weird is he said that to me too.
Did he? See? Of course he would. Yeah.
And honestly, we get why Rob Marshall cast her.
Part of that world.
Now that's a voice.
Halle Bailey, when she sang for us, it was so emotional. She set the bar, and no one ever surpassed it.
Next is everyone's favorite sassy villain, Ursula, played by funny gal Melissa McCarthy. Remember her from our Gilmore Girls days? And don't forget Bridesmaids.
Yes.
Other key players are award-winning actor Javier Bardem as Ariel's daddy, King Triton, Hamilton star Daveed Diggs as Sebastian the Crab, actress and rapper Aquafina as Scuttle, a female diving bird instead of a male seagull like the original so that she can appear in underwater scenes, Jacob Tremblay as Flounder, looking a little spooky but still kind of cute, and last but definitely not least, Jonah Hauer-King as Prince Eric. Fun fact, Harry Styles was actually originally set to take on the prince, but dropped out as he wanted to focus on darker roles. But my friends, we gotta get out of here, so let's see Haley do her thing one more time. Cue the chills.
I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know something's starting right now. Watching, you'll see. Someday I'll be part of your.
So my land friends, that's everything you need to know before you go and see The Little Mermaid in theaters May 26th. Thanks for watching, and be sure to rate and review this film at RottenTomatoes.com.